Welcome, gamers, to Warhammer 40,000 BattleSector. BattleSector has been out for a couple of years, and they've been building a few other little extra bits and pieces, as you can sort of see, like the demonic incursions and the Planetary Supremacy. Now, a year ago, I covered the Planetary Supremacy because that was when it first... They just sort of not really trying to launch Planetary Supremacy, but they were sort of letting everyone know that it was coming, and sort of showed a little bit of what it was like. And it was very, very underwhelming at that point in time. It's improved a hell of a lot over the last year, and they've put out a big patch recently, a big update for the game, and Planetary Supremacy is actually a real lot of fun to play. So I thought I'd show that again, because if you had seen what it was like, if you played the game and were wanting to have like random campaign content, then Planetary Supremacy really was, for me, the future of the game. And as I say, I was very, very underwhelmed by what I saw a year ago. Very, very happy with what I'm seeing right now. So, thumbs up. Anyway, the game itself, let's just do a quick summary of the actual game itself. So, of course, it's in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. When the game launched, it was literally just going to be the Blood Angels, like the Space Marine Blood Angel faction, against the Tyranid hordes, and you only really could ever play the pretty much as the Blood Angels themselves. This is in the original game. The campaign is still only that one campaign, which is very, very surprising, because they've actually now brought in a few other different factions. You've got the Necrons, which came in as a DLC. Very good DLC, by the way. You've got the Orcs, which just launched, actually literally a week ago at time of recording. The Sisters of Battle are in there as well. You also have things like the Demons of Khorne, the Chaos creatures. They're sort of in here as well, but not playable at this point in time. Which they're sort of, but it's having all these extra bits and pieces coming from the lore into this game is just improving the game out of sight. Really, seriously, the game is so much better than what it was a year ago. All round, except for things like, for example, the campaign. The campaign literally only has this first one. It doesn't have any of the other ones, which really, I find that so surprising. I really would have thought that each of the factions that comes in would have its own little scripted campaign. Now, personally, I don't really give a shit about campaigns in most games. I like the procedural content. So for me, I'm very, very happy that not happy that they don't have those campaigns. I'm surprised that they're not there, to be honest. So I think that's a bit of an oversight. I don't know why they wouldn't be there. I'm really unsure as to why. Anyway, you also have things like skirmish mode and multiplayer as well. These are cool because you can sort of play like a standard actual map. The game itself has always had a very, very nice way of actually playing the game. The combat mechanics, the tactical combat mechanics in the game have been quite solid, simple but solid, and so it continues on that way. So Planetary Supremacy, what actually is it? Let me show you. So when we come back in, you've got essentially this is just gives you a bit of a summary as to what's going on with. And now I think this is still written where it's really written from the perspective of the Space Marines, which is not really you've now got all of the factions, and if you've got the DLCs, Necrons, Adeptus Sororitas, which are the Sisters of Battle, and the Orcs, you can play as any one of those against any combination of any two. Now, this is one of the things where I hope that they do keep on tweaking Planetary Supremacy, and it becomes a major feature of the game. At the moment, it's still an afterthought, and you can sort of tell that it is. I think the game shines as a multiplayer game and also as a skirmish game. It really does come down to the actual combat, but Planetary Supremacy, as I say, I'm very impressed with what the devs have done over the last 12 months to sort of bring this up into something that really is... You can see that it's got an awful lot of promise. Now, I was scathing in my in the way that I sort of felt. I really didn't think I'd even get this far, to be honest with it. So I'm really pleasantly surprised with what I'm seeing here with the Planetary Supremacy mode. By the way, the game is also a beautiful game. It is stunningly beautiful. So if you do like the Warhammer 40,000 lore, this game is right up there in terms of immersion and just the overall feel for it. So you have the different factions. So you can play as any of the actual factions that you want, like Blood Angels, the Tyranids you can play in this mode as well, which is cool. Necrons, which I really, that's my favourite faction at the moment. I really do enjoy it. Adeptus Sororitas as well, and then the Orcs, which have just come in as well. Now, one thing you'll notice when you are sort of flicking around with these different things you can't, for example, play as the Adeptus Sororitas against the Blood Angels. Like, it's not doable because they're basically on the same faction. If you turn on Fight Against Allies, then you can. So you can still actually have it where you're fighting. I don't know if you can fight against yourself. No, you can't have another Adeptus Sororitas faction back out there. But this is sort of how you then sort of just play the game. Now, if we go in, the difficulty is interesting. In as much that I started to sort of test the game again using the Astartes start, and I was happy with what I saw, but I just found that the AI just really wasn't much of a challenge. I'm now playing it in Lieutenant mode, and I'm finding this to be much more fun. To show what that does without going into too much detail, if I go and click on the difficulty settings, it then opens up a whole lot of different things in here that you can then tweak yourself as well, which I think, again, is fantastic that they've exposed all this for the player. So you actually have all sorts of different ways of pushing things up. Now, if I go and click on the Lieutenant mode, we'll see that certain things will then sort of go and change. So, for example, I get the enemy AI difficulty goes to high, which is good because it means that now, I should say it's okay. It's not great. The AI in the game is underwhelming in its ability to plan ahead, but it's functional because the actual game mechanics themselves are. It's almost like if you had to build, and this is not a very good example, but if you had to build an AI that could play chess as opposed to an AI that can play checkers. Checkers is a much more simple game in terms of its mechanics, and so it'd be much more simple to build an AI that thinks like that. Whereas in chess, you've got to have a lot more nuance with what goes on. The game itself plays much more like checkers than chess in terms of how you approach it. It comes down to sort of like brute strength and overwhelming numbers. And so the AI is functional, but doesn't really think much ahead in that sort of sense. So the AI is probably one of the weakest parts of the actual game itself, I've got to say. But again, you don't really miss it that much. You don't notice it that much because of the simplicity of the actual game mechanics themselves. And that's not the simplicity of the game mechanics is not a negative of the game. It's just the way that the game actually is. The mechanics are really quite good. So anyway, that's where we are there. But don't expect a Gladius style, like a Warhammer 40,000 Gladius is got the best AI of any game that I've played. And there are other games like Shadow Empire is up there as well, like in terms of the AI being able to really plan ahead and do things that surprise you. Gladius definitely does that. This game doesn't do that. This game is much more linear in the way it sort of works, which means it will drip feed units into the fight. So games like Gladius won't do that. Games like Gladius will actually retreat, collect themselves, heal up, and then come forward to you again. This game doesn't do that. So just be aware that's sort of where the AI is, if you're trying to sort of get a bit of a feel for how things are going with it. All right, so but it is cool, all the different options that you actually have through here. So you've got like the lieutenant company captain will then sort of add in other different bits and pieces in through here as well, like where the AI can just keep on sort of rebuilding its armies time after time. Lieutenant, it just has regular requisitions. Requisitions are used, again, this is a callback to the Space Marines, but requisitions are how you then build your armies or build special components within your actual armies. So it's cool the way it does work. When we launch the game, what it does do is this is very simplistic, and I felt it was too simplistic last time, but I quite like it. I just hope it gets fleshed out over time. I'll just press space to continue. And so what it does is you end up with this grid, which looks a lot like has it Settlers of Catan? With the hex grid, with a fairly big hex grid. Again, I could see this being enhanced a lot, this particular mode. And so what you end up having is whatever faction you've decided to play, you'll be down the bottom here. You'll have enemy factions up in the other two corners. And when we sort of start to go through it, you'll then sort of find that there's going to be different sorts of things. Like this for here is an area that gives you a plus 100 army points. And so you end up with different points of how you can then build your armies up. In through here we have a special, this is actually an unknown resource, and these are the resources at the top. When I hover over these, you'll notice that certain hexes highlight, and this is all randomly placed, so you don't know where these are going to be. So if you do play the game and you find that you really don't have anywhere, or if it's going to be difficult for you to get ahead in the game, then just start again until you sort of find like a layout where this one's not bad actually, because you've got like a row of all these things which enhance your army, which you should be able to get a lot of these before the AI gets there as well. Plus you have one extra area here. The trouble is you've just got this no man's land in between. So that's sort of where things actually do work with the game itself. In this case, you know, the AI is up through here. You can see there, because we're playing on Lieutenant mode, these have got a few extra sort of units back in that side. What I think we might do is I might, rather than start from scratch, because I don't want this to go on for very long, I'm going to load in a game that I've actually been playing, and so that way I'm a fair way ahead of, in progression wise. I should also just point out the way it does work is you've got like 2 action points that you can play every turn. So for example, if I had upgrades, if I had HQ upgrades, I could come back in and then start to either get more units or change the ammunition loadouts from my different units in through here as well. And these all cost army points to implement in your actual armies themselves. But it's really, really cool the way this one actually works as well. It gives you a really nice progression through the tech tree of whichever faction you're playing. And I love this because your starting army, if I just go back and just click on done, your starting army, for example, if I go to reinforce, really only has like a small selection of units that you can then go and choose at the start. And so these are the starting units that we have a choice from. If I go back in with the HQ upgrades, I've then got different sorts of units I can then bring in, and there'll be other units even deeper into it as well that also have like different abilities. And again, I really love what they've done with this. This is like, it's very simple, but it works very, very well. And so if we just click on back on done and just go back into reinforcement, these are the requisitions. So playing as in Lieutenant mode, we only have 4 rather than 8. The AI has 8 to play with. And so every turn, if you do go back and sort of start to change and bring in other units, you will then have that sort of limitation. Now, when I click on different units as well, like if I click on this unit here, for example, this is the Sister Superior, and I have an army cohesion limit of 2. If we have a look in there, I've already got 2 of these. So I've got one through there and another one through there as well. Now, sometimes these will actually have other options for their actual weaponry, and so you can change these as well. And so, for example, the chainsword, it doesn't have any extra cost. The power sword, though, costs an extra 55. Now, I don't have to use requisitions. I can actually do these sorts of load out changes without actually needing to use any action points. So if I went, for example, to the power sword, no, I'm only 5 off, so I can't actually do that one. But the power sword would then take me over the limit. Like if I just click on back, I'm now over the limit that we actually had for the for our particular stack. But it's again, it's very, very nicely done the way it sort of does actually then work. So we can also remove them from the list. If we start to if we move units in and out of the actual the list that we actually have, then we need to we then need to sort of come back in and use one of the that'll chew out one of the action points if we then approve that. But as I say, it works very, 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 very nicely. So we'll just go back, cancel out of that one through there, and I'll load in an existing game. All right, so in this game, I'm playing as the Necrons. I've got the Necrons down through here again. We've got the Orcs, which is the new faction, which is the new DLC, which has just come in, and the Adeptus Sororitas back up through this other side. At this point in the game, I've been able to come back through and cleaned up a lot of the extra army points that we end up having, and I control 2 of these. And both of these are worth another 300 army points. And you can see down through here, I have 2,455 out of 2,700 points. So I could actually go and add more units in if I wanted to into my actual list. If I go and show the HQ upgrades, just so you can see where I am with this as well, I've unlocked about half at this point in time. So I've unlocked a fair few of these things. So for example, on the Annihilation Barge, which cost me 200 points to bring into an army, I've now got Tesla cannons back in through here as well, which makes them really quite powerful. I would love to get another one of these, but to bring one in is going to then cost me an action point. At this stage, I want the momentum in the game to be able to then push and hit the Adeptus Sororitas units that are now within reach of where I actually am. everything is looking pretty good in through there. We'll just confirm. I'll just go back and just click on done. So I won't actually add. I won't go through the actual all the details of what we actually have there, but you can see there that there's a lot of depth, a lot of richness as well in the actual game itself. And as I say, I've got like a lot. I've been able to now pick myself up, so I'm now ahead in points of the two enemy forces. Like the orcs haven't really, even though they've got like two of their areas, they've got +1 action point when charged. That means they get 3 action points. Now I have to be a bit careful of that because they can just skim through here, for example. These are unclaimed with nothing close to it. And if they claim them, they could go 1, 2, and then attack into here. I'd still be able to defend with my forces, but they could technically cut off all of these. Now, if we get cut off in through there, and where we can't sort of get like a contiguous sort of supply back to our capital, then we can only defend them with whatever requisitions we currently actually have, and so that can become another way to actually sort of very quickly dominate the AI. So they don't get the chance to actually use requisitions for their defences. And we can do the same thing over here. We can see through here, we've got like a point out through this other side. And then the Adeptus Sororitas have got like a point here, which doesn't have a connection back out. Like they've only got 2 out through this other side. So that becomes viable for us. And that's what I think we'll start off. We'll do a battle here. And then I'll show you an actual siege battle as well. So we'll try to bounce across. Now, if I can get through this first siege, you can see we've got 2,455 as opposed to 2,350. So fairly similar numbers at the moment. So again, I could go and push, get a second annihilation barge or something like that if I wanted to. Like if I just go back into my reinforcements. So at the moment, I've got like a fair few different forces. Now, there may also be other things that we could actually upgrade with our different units. If we have, look, have already got the Gor's Reaper guns. So I've already gone with the higher level guns in through this side. I'm pretty sure that they've all got those Reapers. Whoops, hang on. We don't want to do that. We want to cancel that. Yep, they've all got Reaper guns. Then we come down into the Immortals, and these also then have Tesla carbines, which again have been upgraded. So these have got upgraded weaponry back in through this other side. Now, the units themselves will always start a battle at full strength as long as they survive previous battles. If they get killed in battle, then that's the end of it. You basically lose that unit, and then you then have to go and spend requisitions to bring them back in again into your army. Now, I've already got like a fair few units. I have lost a few of these little units back down here over time. This one through here is got Tesla carbines as well. Tesla carbines. Then we have 3 of the death marks. These are sort of like sniper type units, and again, I've only got the synaptic disintegrator as the only weapon that we actually have for them at this stage. Nothing different for the flayed ones, which are melee attackers. We've got only one Praetorian, Tryout Praetorian. You can see there with my army cohesion. Actually, I've still got a few of them. Like this one here is on a cooldown because I brought this one in the last or 1 or 2 phases before. Different ones of them will actually have like a cooldown factor before you can actually bring them back into your army. So you can always get like cheap things. For example, like we can always go and get anything that doesn't show the requisition. We can bring as many of those in. So I can bring in warriors and I can bring in flayers or flayed ones. These I can bring in without any real problem. Now that one there is, which one was that one? This was the Annihilation Barge. So I still couldn't bring in another Annihilation Barge anyway. These are worth 200 points. And again, we've got the Tesla Cannon. Now I've already got the Tesla Cannon. These don't cost anything extra. I'll just go with that one. That's actually okay. Again, I can change things up depending on what sort of fight I'm going to be going into. We also have the Tomb Blades in here as well, which are only worth 100 points. A lot of the cheaper things will be worth sort of like around about 100 points. The Flayers are only worth, say, 70. The Warriors, which are sort of at the top through here, are only worth 65. So these are fairly cheap, plus the 15 for the actual weapon that they actually do have. But this is sort of what we end up having. So I don't want to go and add anything else in. I've still got 7 more units I can add to the overall stack if I wanted to. But let's just go in and attack into here. Now, if I attack into other zones, like I don't know if there's anything, this is just unclaimed. I'll just close that one. I haven't got anything near me that I can actually show as to, like, with how things do work. And if it has something that can be defended, there'll be a random unit defending it. Could be Tyranids, could be Chaos, could be Space Marines, or could be anything really. And so in this case, though, we're just going to keep on going up into here. Now we're attacking the Adeptus Sororitas. It is connected to their base, so they do have a connection through. So they're not isolated. We'll go and claim this one. And what it then does is it shows me that they're going to be using their 2,350 army points to defend this particular area. Now, one of the great things about this mode of the game is that the points that you have move anywhere on the battle map, as long as you've got that connection from home base. And so that's actually quite important. So in our case, we do actually have more army points, but we want to get through this one unscathed if we can. If we can get through unscathed, it means we're going to be able to attack again back into their capital. If we do end up taking too much damage, and if I go to, for example, auto-resolve, you can see that through there's an 83% chance of a strong victory. And units lost to achieve victory, so further losses will occur if the battle is failed. And so it would essentially wipe out most of my units if I just let the AI control it for me. I don't want to lose any if I can help it. I will lose some, but I would love to be able to just roll on and continue fighting in this particular round. So let's just go and proceed. So we're now just going to go into the actual battle itself. Just takes a little bit of time to load in the actual battle maps. The maps themselves, I don't think they're random. I sort of wish that they were a bit more random, but there's quite a few of them now that the game will choose for you. But because the actual combat is so simple anyway, the way that the combat works, it sort of it doesn't matter that much, to be honest. And so you tend to, like, I wish there were more maps, and I wish that they, as I say, I wish that there's a bit more randomization. But you can see through here that we don't really have a real lot. I mean, I just do a bit of a scan around to sort of see what is likely to happen on this particular map. Now, we have got very, very good long-range attacking, but the Adeptus Sororitas do as well. So in here is going to be very, very tight fighting in that particular zone. This is what we can see, this particular mode through here. We do want to get a combination of being able to protect ourselves, come back out, and then fire at long range. It may be worth trying to control this area through here so we can flip down into whichever area of fire that we need to go to. Now, before we get started, we've got all of our different forces back down through this side. I'm just going to go and move my flayed ones to the front. Now, what I would like to do is to have one of my powerful, probably the Triarch Praetorians, so I'll just line them up into there. Death Marks I want at the back because they're sort of like long-range snipers. I don't need them at the front. We'll get the Warriors on the second line, the Triarch Praetorian in through there. Let's just go and get a flayed one in the top. We do actually have these heavy destroyers. I'll just move that one back for now. There's more Warriors. I'll just move the Warriors up into that second line for now. I'll just flip this one across, so we just sort of swap that one over. This is actually the Hexmark Destroyer, is like a leader unit for me. They've got like 2 action points. I'll explain what action points are when we get into the game. The Immortals are very, very powerful, so we need to keep them back. Warriors, I'll just move them up. The Tomb Blades, I want to use these as scout units to a degree, so I'm going to move them across to the front. And we also have the Annihilation Bards. These actually move a fair distance. Death Marks at the back again. I just want to keep these so we can actually float them around the back area. In fact, I'll just move them across into there. Flayed ones. The Skorpek Destroyers. These are also like a melee type unit. Wouldn't mind having them probably on this other side, maybe. So I'll just move that one back and move that one back into there. I've got Immortals, 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 and Immortals. That's fine. We've got Warriors back in through this other side. So I'm gonna stack this area. So I've got Warriors all the way through there. I think that's sort of what we want. Let's just move these across. Now these can move a fair distance, and they should be able to then find whichever angle that they require to be able to then sort of grab whichever portion that they need to get into as well. I'm a little bit worried about those. I might just flip them around. These are expendable. Now, I thought we had 4. Yeah, there's another flayed one in there. I might just move this one back and bring the flayed one across. In fact, I'll just swap those two over. And I'll move that one into there as well. Okay, so that will do as far as my layout. This is reasonably important to sort of figure out. Now, if we were going up against the like protection forces, like if it's Space Marines or anything like that, they can spawn anywhere around you, and they don't tend to be cohesive. But this one should be cohesive. So this should be a more difficult fight than what you would normally be getting in the game. But you do have to sort of protect. Initially, you have to try to see which angle they're going to come from, and then you basically just defeat things piecemeal. This is sort of the way to approach the game. As I say, it's not overly complex. I'll just go to proceed. But it's a beautiful game. Absolutely beautiful. And the voice acting is very, very good. So we can sort of spin around, have a close look at the actual units themselves. They really do look great. The actual units, they've as I say, it really is such a nice game to play just from an immersion aspect. What we're going to do is we're going to start to sort of move up units, but I don't want to go crazy with this. What we want to do is we want to get close enough to be able to find things. So I'm just going to go and do one move at a time until we get into positions where I want to start to sort of be able to look for things that are coming. I want to get to this position back over here, but only if I can do it safely. I don't want to have units exposed, so we'll just have that one there. Now I've still got one more. The red there is one more action point. What you'll notice down through here is that we have like a movement, which I've now used them all up, plus an action point. I can use the action point for either combat or for movement, either one of them. Get the flayed ones. The fact that they've both been able to get there is good. I'll just move them both up. The tomb blades, you can see, can actually move a fair distance further. These have got 6 movement, 5 armor, which we'll talk about later on. Still 1 action point. I'm just going to move this one forward, so we can move 1 more than where they were. I can keep on getting other units, so I'm just going to move this one up. I'm going to use the red to just go a little bit further with those Praetorians. So they're going to sit in behind this this area. That'll protect them a little bit. This one here can't quite get into that mode. Let's just move it up into the red. Now this one here has got like long range shots. So if we have a look at the action points, still got 1 more shot. We've got a whole lot of different things that actually are impacted by this one. I won't go into all of them, but this unit will gain bonus momentum at the end of the turn. It's a Dynasty of Living Metal, so there's plus 5 momentum after moving 3 tiles. So we're going to start to get what's called momentum, which is back in through here. Now, the Necrons, you don't acquire that much of it, to be honest. So the battle will probably be over by the time we're getting like meaningful numbers of momentum. Momentum allows you to get extra action points or other things like that as well. Hover, so it allows moving over short obstacles and ignores movement penalties from terrain. Veterancy ×2, so we're getting +2 accuracy and +2 critical hit chance because we've been in combat a fair few times. We've got the living lightning, so each successful shot with this weapon has a 25% cumulative chance to arc to an adjacent enemy, dealing 70% damage. Now this is really important to actually have a lot. We've got a fair few of these with this living lightning attack, and these will then jump to the surrounding units to actually do even more damage. Army cohesion +25% momentum gains with what we actually have through there. The weaponry that we actually have is the twin Tesla carbine, and you can see through there the range it can actually then fire. So it's pretty good at firing up to maximum range, which is range 5, but its optimal range, it does the most effect at range 4. So it's got better to hit chances at range 4, but they're not bad, all the way down. Also cover, you can see there that there's certain areas where the cover it doesn't show, for example, in here with the cover, because we can't actually fire at that. In fact, you can see there, if I move out to different locations, this point here, at that point becomes only like a small dot. It's hard for us to hit into there because of the cover. And so that's why I'm trying to make use of this cover for my own forces. But I'm just going to go and push this one out, so it's actually pointing in this direction, because I'm assuming that they're going to come through this area. So when we hover over that one, we should be able to then fire at anything out into this side. Now, I can go and tell it to go with an overwatch, or I can just leave the end of turn overwatch, either one. At this point in time, I'm just going to use the end of turn overwatch. So these warrior units, I want these to also then start to come in close. It looks like there's nothing in here at this stage. So we'll move them up, and we won't bother with overwatch at this stage with these. The immortals, move them up as well. The destroyer, I'll move the destroyer up into that zone there. Warriors up into that zone. Immortals. So we'll just get ready for getting as much in here as we possibly can. As I say, these are long-range sort of sniper units. I'll just keep these on either side. So we'll keep them coming. Now the again, without knowing exactly where everyone's going to come from, I think we'll just move those across. The destroyers, I won't have them come too far forward. Let's just move them back into there. Warriors back into there. And immortals, I'll keep that one in central as well. Then these up. So I can actually sort of just queue these up, which I love this in the game. It's got a very nice way around about it. So we'll just get them lined up so we can actually start to use this channel through this side. So I'll move that one across there. And then we're just left with this guy over this side. Now what I might do here is actually move this one over to, say, here. And so we can just have a look. You can see there it's quite long range with what it can actually then fire at. Yeah, let's go out this way. This way we're going to be able to at least sort of spot things that are coming. And I will do an overwatch. So the overwatch I can do, you can see as I hover with the overwatch, that's its most effective range. But let's just go this way. It's hardly any different. So we'll just go and get that range happening in through there. So that's our turn, basically. So we've got everything pointing the right way. Facing is very important in the game, both for taking damage and actually being able to shoot. We can only shoot from the whatever the 3 areas are that we have. Like, for example, this guy here can shoot essentially into those areas and then out beyond. Actually I can't. Well, I can't do this one. I've already got it to move with its action point. Let's just end our turn here. You can see there you get a little bit of momentum. If our Necron units move, we pick up momentum at the end of our turn. If we don't move, we lose momentum. Now, I'm not going to be worrying too much about momentum in the game. So this is what we're hearing the enemy moving, and we're getting a feel that they're all together. So this is because if we were playing up against, as I say, the Space Marines or something like that, that is just a normal defender, we won't get to see that. Not as much anyway. So there's a big collection of them in there, and in back in this other side as well. Okay, so they're a fair way back. We saw them, a lot of them in here. So we can expect them to sort of be moving up towards us. Now, as I say, the AI is not the smartest. They tend to come in waves. They don't tend to really hover back much and attack. They don't tend to attack in waves themselves all that effectively unless they can do it that particular turn. So what we want to do is we just want to make sure that we end up with an area where we can sort of get like fields of fire. I'm happy enough with where we are in here. I'm happy enough to sort of invite them into this little zone as a bit of a kill zone. Let's leave this guy into here, this area. And again, if we just do the overwatch, we've got reasonable overwatch protection back to there. Even that's not bad. Yeah, let's just do overwatch out that way. We'll just give it an actual overwatch. I'm going to keep these back where they are, but we saw the vast majority of them were in here. And so they're going to come through this other side in this area. So let's just start to stack our warriors out across this other zone. Now, do we move up with our flayed ones? Let's just do it. It's one of these things where I'm going to probably be losing some of these, but we can at least then get a bit of a feel for what's coming. We use the warriors over this other side to then start to get the ability to then go and fire on things. Now these are, I might just even keep these back a little bit. I'll just keep them back over to here, but we'll just get a few of them over Oh, one thing I can do here is I can click and drag just to get the facing. Otherwise, I've got to then reset it if I'm going to. And I think it's important that you actually do have the facing the way that you do want it. Our Immortals have got like a better field of fire. I'm just going to move one of them across to here and have it face down that way. The Death Marks as well. I'll have them also. I forgot to do the facing again. I'll just keep that one back in through there. That one I'll just get the facing right. The facing in through there. The Immortals this way. So I want to try to take one side, and then it looks like there will be a few coming over this other side as well. But let's actually just head this way to start with. I'm going to bring this one through and just have it so that it's going to go to there, and then I'll click and drag. That way the facing will be okay. The flayed ones, let's just move a flayed one up into there where we should be able to get a little bit of protection. Again, these are cheap units, so I'll just leave them where they are. I'm thinking I now bring this one back to join up with the others. So let's just move across so we've actually then can bring this one across the other side just because it's so powerful. And we'll keep on doing the other one over this way as well. So we'll actually stack this other side. Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about these so much. I'm going to flip these around the other side. And I'll do the same here. They won't get into the fight. I'm going to leave these back as a so that we can sort of then make use of it. And as I say, we're going to be trying to protect our units as much as we possibly can. You can see there, some of those we didn't move far enough. We had a little red. Whoops, just keep them going. Here we go. So we're hearing things coming. They're coming very, very soon. Now they're going to have a lot of, same sort of points worth as what we have. So getting the attrition is going to be very, very. It almost got them. Almost seeing them now. Okay, well we're sort of in position, but if we don't move, we then lose the, we lose our momentum. But that's okay. We're just going to leave that. So we're not seeing anything yet. So we haven't spotted anything. I'm actually happy enough with these. We need to move a fair way for these to sort of then kick in. We saw that there was something coming down this other side. I don't really want to invite too much in here, but let's just move this one down this way a little bit. Move that one across. Death marks again. Just get them looking down this way. And when we get into the actual fights, you'll then start to see sort of how the combat then works with each of these. Yeah, we'll just keep the basic warriors back down this way, and we'll just keep these hidden away just so we can sort of see what's coming. We've left this other side now completely open. I might just get them facing that side. The units themselves have also got, like as I say, the three areas around them will actually be like a facing for them. You'll see this when we get into combat. Yep, they're facing the right way. These need to face this way. Okay, that'll do us. Let's just end our turn here. So we just go into Overwatch. Here they come. So we're seeing a range of different units, and now we're getting some reaction fire. This is good stuff, so we get a few extras. That was good amounts, actually. We're getting some hits there. Oh, wow. This is an enormous amount of hit points coming back in. In fact, that looks like it should be enough to kill it. Yeah, we just killed one of their heroes. Or heroines. And so they're attacking our flayed ones with just like a hero type unit. We lost one, but it bounces. There's a chance that they'll bounce back to life with half their points. And that one bounced up as well. Cool, 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 cool. That's a good start for us. So that hero that we killed with our reaction fire, here we go, there's even more of them now coming through. These are weak units. These are melee units. These aren't, they're battle sisters. And that's one of their transports. The transports are not very strong, but they're very, very heavily armoured. So there's two transports coming. There we go, hitting with that one. So we did a bit of damage to it. Yep, so off they load. Okay, they're still moving. It's still their turn. Yep, there's still movement at the back. Here they come. There's heaps of these. Great. Okay. So we get our action points now come back. With what we can sort of see through here, we've got like a fair... Look, we're now into the actual fight itself. We've taken a small amount of damage in through this side. So this group has now taken some damage. I can keep them in the fight if I wanted to, or I could run them back if I'm sort of concerned about what's going on with them. And I might just bring them back to try to save them. But we'll see how we go to start with. So with what they actually have, we've been able to kill off this unit down through here is one of their commanders. I don't know what type of commander it was. But anyway, that's a fairly high level. What we have to do to win the fight is we have to get 80 points worth of damage done. Now, typically these sorts of units, these arco-flagellants, like these are sort of like one of their weaker units. When I hover over there, you can sort of see that they've got like the 55 health points. So they've got all of their hit points still there. There's another group in through there as well. Back over this side, we have another commander who is also, this is a Sister Superior, who only started with 150 hit points. It's down to 30. So one good hit is going to kill that one off. More of the arco-flagellants in through that side, and then we have the Battle Sisters in here with 50 points. Even though this has got more hit points, these can ultimately do more damage to us. These have got the Goodwin Diaz pattern bolter, and so we can actually then see what they've got. They've got a range of 1 to 6 with an optimal range of 3. Base accuracy of 80 is fairly high, and so that's actually something we have to be a bit more careful of. So when we see those units, these units here have only got the arco flails. So they've got 2 attacks, base damage is 5 to 7 melee, armor piercing of 5, which is fairly high. They do actually have some other abilities like devotion, so these are the other things that they actually have. This one has been in fights before. This one has been in fights, Yeah, it looks like they've all... This one hasn't, this is new. This has been brought back in. As we have a look at the other units that were... So they didn't come through the middle area, which is sort of where I was gearing up. They're coming more back over this other side. So we may have to flip around and because there's so many melee units that are coming down this way, these guys in here, these arco-flagellants, the same in through there again as well. We've got Battle Sisters up through that side again as well. And these have also just been brought in. They don't actually have any of the other bits and pieces. So there's a lot that's come in with that particular style of melee. They've got like heaps of that type. These guys here, the rhinos, have got like a lot of hit points. So a hell of a lot of hit points in through here. And very, very strong armor. Now these are not really worth taking out because they're essentially just a transport vehicle. They use a storm bolter. which does 18 attacks, but only does 3 to 4 ballistic, and only got an armor piercing of 1. So they still can do damage, but they're not really going to be a big part of the battle. So we're going to have to protect against these sorts of units, because if they can get in, they're going to be able to do a lot of damage. Our guys here are sort of the equivalent, but not as strong as these guys. So I'm going to be running back with these, and we're just going to try to protect different zones as they come forward. So let's take out this one over through here. So at the moment we've got 8 points by taking out this particular commander. So again, the AI just rushes in, and the AI, as I say, is not a clever AI. It's functional, but it's not exceptional with what it actually does do. I think, yeah, let's just play out this turn. Then I'm just looking at the time. I might try to keep this down to about an hour. So if we have a look at the warriors backing through this side, these warriors have got the Tesla carbines. Have they all got Tesla carbines? It's immortals. No, these have got Gauze Reapers. I've only got some with the Teslas. These are long range. So I can actually hit that one. I've got a 67% chance of hitting that one through there. If I move up, I'm going to get a better amount. So I think I might do this. Oh, hang on, no, these are immortals. These are not, yeah, these are immortals. The immortals have got the Tesla carbine. And what these actually have is these have got the ability to splash around onto other units as well, I think. So if I go and hit this, I've now got a 72% chance. I'm going to be doing between 7 and 10 damage per shot, and I've got 25 shots going in. I've got 5 units, which is sort of why we're getting sort of so many, but let's just go and hit this one. And see how they're hitting the other units? We killed that unit with the splash damage, with the extra damage that went off. So we've now done a bit of damage to the one behind. We've done a lot of damage to this one through here. So I think we're going to have this one covered pretty easily, actually, this other side here. This one here, I've got a 39% chance. If I move out, it should then be a lot more. So I've got 39 from around the corner. See how it's only a small circle underneath it? That's showing me that it's just we're in the wrong angle. If I go back to the one behind, it's 42. It's actually better, the one behind. But if we move on out and then fire at it, we've now got a 57%. So let's just do that. And again, we're getting the splash damage over to the others. And we've now taken this one out. We're now up to 15 of the 80 that we need. So we're sort of heading towards towards what we have to do. And again, we want to keep survivability. So this is going to be fairly important. These guys here, if we click on them, have got a movement of 5. So they can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can hit into here and then use their one action point to then actually do an attack into any of these different zones. So I do need to make sure that I move back enough to be able to then contend with that. Now these sort of death mark units, they do very pinpoint attacks against single characters. It's a bit wasted out here, to be honest. So these have got like a special cinematic disintegrator, which is a range of 1 to 8. Optimal range is 6. It's got armor piercing of 6, which is very high, but it doesn't have that many shots. So I think what I prefer to do, rather than actually have that one fire now, I might actually bring that one back. And we'll just finish off this one with Immortals. Now I might just do it from here. So I've got a 61% chance there. Let's just do some damage. Yeah, we're not really getting anything else behind it. They're down to 4 units now, but I wanted to keep a little bit of action point just so that we can get a little bit extra coming back in this other side. And similarly back in through here, I want these to be ready for the next attack. So we know that we have to move back 2 to be protected from this particular unit, but with only 4 of them there, they're not that strong anyway. There's no one else in here that we have to really worry too much about, so we're just going to move that one back. This one here no longer has action points, so I'm just going to move this one back as well. I'm now more concerned about what's going to happen back in through here. I do have a shot in through this side as well. It's only 45%. Let's move these out. changing facing doesn't actually affect anything. The warriors have only got a very, very small area that they can actually fire into. I might sort of move these out of the way as well. My better shot is there. Then I've still got 2 more actions. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they can actually hit this one. If I just move up 1, that's now becomes a 55%. Let's just go for it. So we're doing reasonable damage against it. That's down to just 3 units now. The one at the back there took a little bit of extra damage, but let's just move these back. We no longer have any more action points, so they won't be able to do any Overwatch. Warriors can do Overwatch, and that's probably the most effective use of them. So I'm going to move these out and have them protect the front. These have got like 150 points each. They can usually survive reasonably well as long as there's not sustained attacks coming up against them. We'll move the warriors back up into this. Oh no! See how it's poor at that position there. What I might do is I might just move the warriors back to here. Have them face this side. And with the action points, they do actually have. They have a little bit. Let's just go with the Overwatch. So if I make it go out to here, it's going to be very, very weak. So I'm going to allow them to have Overwatch out to here. So I need to right click on that one to sort of then, damn it, there's no undo. That's one thing in the game that would be really, really handy to be able to do something, but I don't have an undo, unfortunately. So I've actually screwed that one up. I'm just going to go to Overwatch in here. Sorry, just got a helicopter outside. This unit here, I'm going to bring this one back. These will tend to be targeted because they're so weak. And that means there's this flayed one as well. I'll bring this flayed one up into here. The Triarch Praetorian has got like a melee attack but also a ranged attack. I'm going to move it across the other side and just have it so that it can sit out through this other side over here. And just do an Overwatch in front there. You can see, again, you can see how much more effective it is there. So if I wait for that Overwatch to hit there, then that will be very effective if any of these units actually get that far. These are mortals. I want these to come across and also do Overwatch. The Overwatch from those isn't too bad. It's more effective at the back there. And I'll set this on. I'll set the Overwatch on this one explicitly. I'll go that way, so I also pick up that other zone there. This one here as well. I'll just set the Overwatch again to get the best bang for buck, which is going to be there. Again, I'm better off having the Overwatch, which is strong, back through this other side. Let's just do it this way. Just press the O key and set that one across that side. Now these are very, very strong, and these ones do actually get some good shots in amongst that other group in there. So I'll bring the Hexmark Destroyers across, and we'll set them also with an explicit Overwatch. Well, they can't actually hit into there. So let's go back this way. This one as well. I'll just leave this one with the default. That then leaves the warriors. And again, I've got only the small area through there. I think I'll actually leave these one back. Those one back. Actually, maybe not. Let's leave these across this way. Now, this Immortal's already attacked, so I'm just going to leave that one back there. But the Immortals there, which have also moved, can't do anything else with those. The Warriors we will actually keep, and I'll keep these in front of these guys. Now the Death Marks have still got a shot, but we don't need anything in through there. So I'm going to move these back across to get them ready to attack anything that does come through. They're done as well. These I'll move across. Again, we've got good angles from whichever side is going to come through. There is a little dip in the ground there, which we don't get a chance to sort of make good use of that one. And we'll do that one as well. Just as a general, when I hover over, I can sort of see what they're going to be firing at. I'll do it out this way. We've got this as well, which has got, again, good attacks. Let's just, actually, before we do that, yeah, let's just do it that way. Okay, so I think we're sort of done with this one here. Let's end our turn and just see if we can get even more attrition before they actually get in close to us. So there is more movement back there, and more movement back on this other side as well. Now these are only worth like 3 or 4 points each. Let's see, we're getting our overwatch happening before the others actually start to move too much. It's a powerful stack in through there. Okay, they got rid of one of ours. Did it die? It looks like it did. Yep, that one died. So they're using their longer range battle sisters to do damage against the warriors. They've been wiped out. Bit of a waste, unfortunately. These can only fire at 1 unit at a time. That's good. We've actually been able to wipe them out. We're up to 21 now. So they only can fire at 1 unit. Does this one come back to life? Nope. It's had enough. There's a lot more coming on this other side now. Yeah, it's the one in the... Was that the one that I accidentally moved? No, it was the warriors that got attacked on the other side that was too much. But the Necrons are very powerful. They're up to 24 now, so that they're worth about 3 points each. And they can't do much without getting really close. Yep, so this left-hand side is becoming where the battle is going to be taking place. They've got the more powerful units there. So that's where they've got the battle sisters. Here they come again. Now, if they're firing at long range, so they're not going to be as effective. By the way, if I press backspace, I can then pause the game. This is really cool. What you can then do is you've actually got like a camera mode, and I didn't show this. I might finish this off like with their turn, just showing what's actually going on through here. So I can use the WASD keys to actually come back in and actually create like a, I guess, a scene that I'm interested in, like to actually sort of get like a shot of these guys, for example, just coming back in. I've got all these different modes that I can then sort of have a look to see what's going on. It's just beautiful the way it does work. For example, I've got my units at the back through there, for example. So I can just go through with the actual camera settings and just find what I consider to be like an interesting sort of shot. I can sort of compose a bit of a shot here to sort of get the angles happening. And again, the game is just absolutely beautiful the way it sort of does work. And so for me, having something for a for a thumbnail, it works very well. This is not pretty much that. I mean, it'd be better to get something that's a bit closer into the actual action, but you get the idea anyway. And there's so much you can do with this one through here. So you've got the different ways of actually getting the constructing the shot. You've got fly through. You've also then got like orbit. I'll just go back to fly through though, and just go back down again to the to where we were again. To this sort of area. You've got the things, for example, like the focal distance, depth of field. Now, I've turned depth of field off, but I can actually put depth of field on, which will then actually have like certain things will be out of focus and certain things will be in focus. And I can really fine-tune this depending on my aperture settings. So it's like having an actual camera. The focal distance, so I can go and just focus purely on the Sisters of Battle, and then sort of have it sort of go back out further if you're wanting to. So there's just such amount of depth that you can actually bring back into this one. So we can just get like a little bit of blurring on the back of the Battle Sister, and just change that focal distance, depth of field in through there. If we can sort of bring that up, yeah, wherever I sort of want it. It's just awesome. Color schemes, again, I've just got like the exposure. I can sort of make it so that it's just normal exposure, or a bit deeper if I wanted to. Saturation as well. We'll sort of then change the overall color schemes. The contrast of what's actually in there as well. I'll just keep it sort of back in around there, I guess. And then the actual overall color temperature, can make it sort of from cold down through to warm. Just fantastic way it does actually sort of work. You can actually then got custom filters as well. And then you've got things, for example, like badges. You've got the BattleSector logo, the Warhammer 40k logo. I'm not sure exactly where that one does show. The border is going to be none, but you can actually then have like cinema bars. I'll just keep it on none. The vignette is this sort of blur around the outside edge. If I just sort of bring that one back a little bit, I wouldn't want much of that. It should be just fairly sort of subtle. Badge position, oh, there we go, none, top left. Yeah, so I can actually place the logos, anywhere that I want them. And once I'm actually happy with it, and I'm not happy with the shot, but I thought I'd just sort of show it because, again, it really is a beautiful game, the way this one actually does work. So even to be able to just go in halfway through an actual turn and be able to do this. Now, I can also go forward in frames. I can't go back, but I can actually go and sort of get further frames being fired as she's firing. There's another one going there with the bullet sort of going back down, so we can sort of then get a chance to sort of see exactly who's firing or what's actually going on. It's very cool the way it sort of does work. There's another one that's just been fired. It's going straight through. It's clipping through that one there. So I won't use that one, but you get the idea. It's really nice. And then you can sort of hide the user interface, so you can sort of see what's going on with it. You can still use the keyboard shortcuts to get the angle that you're actually wanting. And enter will just save a screenshot of whatever it is that you're actually firing at, and backspace again just to go back. It's a really nice little system. Anyway, let's just go back. So we're taking shots from that particular group. I actually, when I'm playing by myself, there we go. The living metal is kicking back in at different times. They've got more of these. These guys don't do very much damage, as you can sort of see. So I'm going to ignore the rhinos. Okay, that's coming back through. Okay, so we're back to our turn now. Now I'm going to call it quits for this episode, and we'll come back and we'll finish off the battle in the next episode. So we'll actually find a really good screenshot for the series, and then we'll go from there. But it's, as I say, beautiful game, and you can see there the mechanics are simple to sort of play. The thing where it sort of starts to expand up is if we can get these momentums, and playing as the necromancers. The Necrons, it's hard to bring this up to anything meaningful. None of my units have actually got very much in this at all. Anyway, guys, we're going to leave this episode here. Thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next episode.